Ever had one of those neighbors who just grinds your gears? Well, my neighbor wasn't just annoying, she was a menace, and she ran the local homeowners association, which gave her a serious power trip. Let me tell you the story of how I finally put a stop to the HOA Karen who thought my farm was her personal racetrack. It all started a few years back. I own a decent-sized farm, a beautiful piece of land that's been in my family for generations. The main entrance is off a paved county road, but there's an old dirt service road that cuts through the back of my property. It connects to a newer fancy subdivision that popped up a while ago. That road is my private property. I own it, I maintain it, and I have no trespassing and private road signs posted everywhere. I mostly use it to move my farm equipment, like my tractor and combine, without having to take them on the main road. For a long time, everything was peaceful. The folks in the new subdivision were mostly respectful. They knew it was a private road and stayed off it. But then, she moved in. Let's call her Karen. Karen was the self-appointed queen of the HOA. She drove a big, white, obnoxious SUV and had that "I need to speak to the manager" haircut. You know the one. Almost immediately, Karen decided my private dirt road was her personal shortcut to the county road. I guess it shaved a whole 2 minutes off her commute. The first few times I saw her dust cloud billowing down my road, I figured maybe she was lost. I flagged her down one afternoon, nice and polite. I said, "Ma'am, just wanted to let you know this is a private road, part of my farm. The public road is just a little further down." She just sneered at me from behind her designer sunglasses and said, "I live here, I'll use whatever road I want." Then she gunned the engine and sped off, kicking up a huge cloud of dust that covered me and my freshly washed truck. Okay, so politeness wasn't going to work. This wasn't just about trespassing. My biggest concern was safety. I have animals, including free-range chickens, and my 2 dogs, Max and Buddy, often run around the property. Plus, when I'm moving heavy equipment, I can't just stop on a dime. Someone speeding around a blind corner could cause a serious, even fatal accident. I beefed up my signage. I added more no trespassing signs, private property signs, and even a big one that said "Warning, farm equipment crossing, slow down." Did Karen pay any attention? Of course not. If anything, she seemed to speed up, almost as if she was enjoying defying me. I'd see her fly by at 40, maybe even 50 miles per hour down a road that was barely safe at 15. Her tires would spit gravel and tear up the road I spent my own money and time maintaining. My next step was to call the sheriff's department. A deputy came out, looked at my property lines, and confirmed it was my private road. He was sympathetic but explained that since it was private property, he couldn't legally write her a speeding ticket. His hands were tied unless she was doing something else illegal. He suggested I send her a certified letter from a lawyer, formally telling her to cease and desist. So I did. I shelled out a few $100 for a lawyer to draft and send a sternly worded letter. It officially informed her she was trespassing and would face legal action if she continued. For about a week, there was peace. The dust settled. I thought maybe, just maybe, the threat of a lawsuit had finally gotten through to her. I was wrong. The next Monday morning, who do I see barreling down the road again? You guessed it, Karen, in her white SUV, giving me a smug little wave as she flew by. I was at my wit's end. I had tried being nice, I had tried being official, and nothing worked. The law couldn't help me on my own property. I started thinking, if the law won't protect my land, my animals, and my safety, I need to find another way. I wasn't going to do anything to hurt her, of course, but I needed to protect my property. Her car, on the other hand, well, that was a different story. That's when the idea hit me. It was a little bit devious, a little bit brilliant, and 100% effective. I remembered seeing some heavy-duty spike strips for sale online. Not the hollow ones the police use that just deflate tires, but the solid steel tire shredding kind. The kind that says, "You made a very bad decision." I ordered 3 sets. When they arrived, I got to work. I knew her schedule. She always used my road around 8 a.m. on her way out and 5 p.m. on her way back. So, one afternoon, I took my tractor and my box blade and went to work on the dirt road. I dug a shallow trench across the road, just around a blind corner where she always sped up. I laid the spike strips down in the trench, points up, and secured them with rebar stakes hammered deep into the ground. Then, I carefully covered them with a thin layer of loose dirt and dust. I blended it perfectly. You couldn't tell anything was there. It just looked like a normal, bumpy part of a dirt road. To anyone driving at a safe, slow speed, they'd just feel a little bump. But at 50 miles per hour, it was going to be a very different experience. I have to admit I felt a little like a cartoon villain setting a trap. I went back to my porch, sat down with a cold glass of sweet tea and waited. It was almost 5 p.m., right on schedule. I heard the familiar roar of her SUV engine. I saw the dust cloud get bigger and bigger as she came flying around the corner, then bam, pop, hiss. The sound was glorious. It was a symphony of instant karma. I heard the screech of metal on gravel as her rims hit the road. I saw the SUV swerve violently before grinding to a halt about 50 feet past the trap. All 4 tires were completely and utterly destroyed. They looked like they'd been attacked by a pack of wolverines. I gave it a minute, just to savor the moment. Then I casually strolled down the drive, trying my best to look concerned. There she was, standing by her crippled SUV, her face a mask of pure rage. She saw me coming and immediately started screaming, You did this. You destroyed my car. I'm going to sue you for everything you have." I put on my most innocent face. "Ma'am, what on earth happened? It looks like you got 4 flat tires at once. You must have been going way too fast on this rough road. I have signs up everywhere telling people to slow down. It's dangerous." She was practically sputtering. "There was something in the road. You put something there." "Something in the road?" I asked, feigning confusion. "Well, let's have a look." I walked over to the spot and scuffed my boot in the dirt. "Nope, don't see anything. Just dirt and rocks. This is a farm road. You know, sometimes things get churned up. That's why you have to drive slow and careful, like the signs say. Gosh, a tow truck is going to have a hard time getting back here, and this repair is going to cost a fortune." She knew I did it. I knew I did it. And we both knew she couldn't prove a thing. Her brand new expensive tires were shredded, her rims were probably bent, and she was stuck on a private road she had been repeatedly warned not to use. The tow truck driver, when he finally arrived hours later, charged her an arm and a leg for the off-road recovery. I heard from a friend at the local garage that the total bill for 4 new tires and rim repair was over $3,000, and the best part, she never ever drove down my road again. The HOA sent me a few nasty letters, which I promptly used as kindling for my fireplace. The story got around the neighborhood, and I think I earned a new level of respect. Sometimes, when being reasonable and following the rules doesn't work, you have to get a little creative to protect your peace and property. It was an expensive lesson for her, but my chickens and dogs are safe, and my road is finally quiet again. And that, my friends, is priceless. Thanks for watching my story. If you've ever had a crazy neighbor story, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the farm. See you next time.